Now let's do an example to help us better understand the array. What is the example? So we are going to given an array. If the element of the array is odd, then add it by 1, add it by 10. If the element of the array is even, then add it by 5. Example of input. Example of output. So let's do this. So to do this, we first initialize the code, an array. Then we set some random value for it. Code is equivalent to 26891. Then we, since this requires editing the value, we have to use for. Remember, do not use for each when you require edit to the cell of the code, to a cell of the array. Then we just set for int I is 0, I code.length I++, if which means it is even number. Code I plus 10. Print the array out. Okay. Now let's see the result. 7, 11, 13, 19, 21. You can see that it is correct. So this is an example of applying it to the code. So now another example. Let's do another example. This example is very important. Swap the certain element of the array. Even though it will be very easy when we talk about list. So the code is like this. We first define it called value. Value is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we set the value, the two values we want to swap with. Swap with value 2. Int temp. Then we use the basic way of swapping value, which is like this, to do this. So the new code will be temp will equals to value 0 I. Value I will be equal to value j. Value j will equals to temp. Be equal to temp. After we understand this, let's do it. System.out.println value. So to test it, we only need to get the specific code of this. See, you can see it is swapped. So after we have understood these two examples, now we are going to do the array list. We have talked about the now we need to talk about the array list. So the array list, let's understand some basic values, basic thing of the array list. First, the array list, and why the array list is convenient than the array. First, array list index grows and shrinks as the array list grows. So what does it mean? So if the initial value of the array list is 2, 5, then the array list will automatically be 1. However, if we add up another value, 2, 5, 8, 6, the array length will be 2. These two are not that convenient compared to the array. But if we do the third step, we delete value 6, 2, 5, then the array length will be 1. What will happen if it happens on the regular array? Regular array for the third step will be 2, 5, empty, which array length will still be 2. So this meant that the array list is much convenient than this. And then the last element of the array list is always the Arraylist.size -1. So the final thing is that the insertion and deletion can be done just with a single line of code, which will be talked about later of the video. So after we have talked about this, you might think that Arraylist is so convenient and you would like to try. So now let's talk about first what do we need to do before using an Arraylist. To using an Arraylist, you must define those two lines, starting with import. The first line is import.java.util.this. The second line is import.java.util.function.supplier, which the first line of the code must come before the second line. And by the way, the function needs to be decapitalized. If you write it incorrectly, then it will show that the function does not exist. After we talk about this, now we need to start on how to define the array. The list. To define the list, you need to write like this: list type name, new array list, type. For example, and the code requires to be a little bit transformed. For example, int need to transform with integer. So let's make an example. List integer name is equals to new array list integer. The name of int needs to be converted to integer. List integer name. Oh, remember, these two must be connected together. What the heck? What the freak? And there requires to be this after it. So the code runs successfully. So just remember, a list requires several things. List plus this plus type plus this plus name plus equal plus new plus space plus array list plus this plus type plus this plus this. This is how to write it. Now we change it. You can see that double still works here. Yes, it still works here. Okay, after we know this, let's talk about some functions of list, about how to do it. The first is list.add. When you first initialize the list is empty. The list is empty. So it will be like this, list.add. List.add it allows you to add value. So for example, if we add a 3, then the list will be 3. If we do a 4, then the list will be 3, 4. Okay, so this is how you add the list. You will add the list. Then if you add another this, the list will be okay, so there's a problem. What will happen if you want to add a list in 3, 4, and 6? You will need insertion method, which we will talk about later. So list.add is the first one. The second one is list.print, the print method. To introduce the print method, we need to talk about list.get. So this is a general structure of it. Index is get. The index can only the value, the range of the index can only be starting on 0 and ends at list.size -1. Failure to do so will lead to Arraylist out of bound exception. After we have talked about, so for example, if we do it list.add 3 system, so then we know that the list is 3. So then we just use int n is list.get 0. 0 refers to the index, which means the first element of the list. Then we just do it system.out.println n. It should be name, sorry. I forget, it should be name.get. I make a serious mistake. Name.get 0. And remember this is double, so I need to change it into integer. If we do this, it will show incompatible type. Nice. So we get it. So this is our second step. Now we need to talk about, after we have talked about get, we will talk about how to print it. So to talk about printing the list, we will apply another example. Example 5. Perfect square. Starting on 0 and ends at 20 times 20. So we use the integer. We first still define the integer here, and then we use the way to do it. For I is equals to, so we first add the value up. List.add. This is our first step, which is name.add is I times I. After that, we are going to use the name.get method. So to do this, we we still initialize another value, and then we use it to do it, which is j, and then we do it system.out.print name.get j plus this, and the code will work. Now let's see what the code get. Oh, I forgot to initialize the I. It is just a small mistake that I make. Now let's use the code again. So the code will be this. The error that I make is that I forget to make less equal. After I do it, it will run like this, which is 400. Where's 400? Oh yes, I forget to print out the... No, you can't do that. Yes, you can. So it will be 400. Easy. After we have used example 5, let's talk about other functions after we have talked about how to print out the list. List.delete. Delete the rightmost value and change the list length. So for example, let's do another example. Let's do another example for int. So we first set the printing method to help us test. Name.length I++ system.out.println get length print line get print name.get I plus this. So we first set it. So we first set the name. Name.add 5. So at this point, the list will be 3 and 5. Then we just name.delete. Not delete, remove. It should be remove. See? So the problem is we find that it should be like this. We change it, remove. So it is true that I just try to guess it as delete, but it's not right. So remove. There is a better code for this. Index. Remove the certain index and move the rest of the element on the right one step left. Name.remove, which is index, is 1. After that, we will find that the result should be 3. I++ name.length. It should be like this. If you find an error like this, add a bracket. And another common error that people will make is that this is name.size. Remember that if it is a list, then it should be list.size. If it is an array, then it is array.length. You will find interesting that if we delete 5 here, then the list will be 3. Let's see what will happen if we put it at 0. see. So the code are like this. Empty 5, move 5, 5. So this is how it works on the list. So now we have talked about the array. List. Then we can talk about list dot, let me think, add. Which inserts at a specific point. Now we do it again. Name.add. Name.size I++. System.out.print. Name get I. Now we use the insertion code here, which is, remember these two are pretty similar, list.add and this. So if it is add with only one value or only one parameter, then it will add the element at the n-1 place. If it is add with two parameters, then it will add with the place you want. So for example, if we do like this, starting at 0, then it will be inserted at 0. Then it will, so the original thing is like this. These lines of code will make the element called 6 inserted in 357 at place 0, which it will be 6357. Oh, I think I do get it opposite. So it is 0, 6, not 6, 0 here. Remember, index first, element second. See, 6356, which we have talked about insertion. The next thing, wait, why delete the print method again? Add, set int index int element, which will set the index as a specific value. Index element as a specific value. Okay, so to conclude, then we have to talk about one another thing before we conclude. So for get, remove, and set, it will show array list out of bound exception in two cases: if the index is less than 0 or if the index is larger or equal to size. However, for add, the array list out of bound exception will be index less than 0 or index larger than size. Okay, after we have talked about this, let's do some conclusion. Conclusion list. Some major function of list are list.add, list.size, which gives out the size, list.add index element, list.set index element, list.getIndex, list.removeIndex. So these are some elements of the list. Now we need to talk about, Now we need to talk about some core codes of the swap method again. Why do I love swap method so much? Okay, let's do it. Temp is equals to list, int temp is list, so we do it list temp, int temp is equals to list dot get I, list dot set I, list dot get j, list dot set j temp. So this allows you to change the two values of the list indexed at I and j. Okay. Here we come to the end of our list, which on the next time we are going to talk about iterator and two-dimensional array. Here we come to the end of the chapter, and I hope you have learned a lot. See you next week. Bye.